Welcome to the Middlemen on Enterprise TV, where truth has no filter and justice has no favorites. This is where every day voices rise, power gets questioned, and hard conversations find a home. Today's cases are real, the verdicts unapologetic. So take your seats, jurors, and let's begin. I have with me 3 jurors who are ready to present their cases. Our juror from Rabbi is here with a case titled the Agege break theory, which captures a government too full to move, satisfied in comfort yet asleep on responsibility. Juror Olajumoke ALAWODE-JAMES will be introducing to Nigerians a means to guard the ballot and reclaim the truth of every election in a case titled Citizen Monitors. Juror Igwebuike's case titled When Technology is Stifled in Nigeria highlights that when innovation threatens exploitation, progress becomes the enemy. And in Nigeria, technology isn't failing us, our leaders are. And I, Juror Emeka Madunagu, will be revealing how Eid al-Kabir, a sacred Muslim celebration, has been reduced to silent longing in a case titled Rams Everywhere But None to Buy. All these conversations and more will come up right after this quick break. Please stay with us. Middleman. Thanks for staying with us. My case, Rams Everywhere But None to Buy. It's the season of Eid al-Kabir, popularly known as Salah or Ileya in the Southwest. It's the time when Muslims mark an important tenet of their faith, which is sacrifice. It is usually marked with the slaughtering of rams. However, in recent years, the prices of rams have been steadily going beyond the reach of average Muslim families. Go to the nearest livestock market and you'll find potential buyers milling around in search of affordable rams. A sizable ram is said to cost up to 1.5 million naira. How many Nigerians can afford that when the minimum wage is 70,000 naira monthly? It reflects the dismal economic realities facing most Nigerians. My verdict: it is really sad to know the plight of Nigerians in the economic quagmire we found ourselves. President Bola Tinubu and his team need to look for quick and sustainable solutions to the economic crisis. Lobbying people to defect your party and fixing your concern on the 2027 elections will not cut it.
3 things for me quickly. Let me start from the lobbying part. We agreed on this set last week that the president is fantastic at politicking, not at good governance. So that's, you have alluded to that in your verdict. The second thing is the Ileya in Yoruba literally translates to let's go home. It's time to go home. And I saw how people trying to go home for this long holidays, some of them being transported in trucks like animals.
In trailers, yes.
Like animals themselves. I wanted to take a video,
That's
but
what
I
they
thought
can afford.
that's what they can. I know. I wanted to take a video, but I said, let me not dehumanize the faces, because it's not the fault of the people who are, who cannot afford proper transportation and have to join trucks like animals. The third part for me is when we say the average ram, is 1.5, how many people can afford? My uncle's driver who started buying ram by, getting money from everybody, since 3 years ago. The ram he got this year, it's a kid. That's the only way to describe it.
Malnourishment.
A kid. That ram is a few months old. In another 2 years, he'll be matured enough to eat. But,
Unfortunately, it has made this way.
that's it. So, because the person who is buying it cannot afford more than that. Then someone else who always comes home for Ileya because his mom is here in Nigeria, he lives in Canada. I was laughing at him that when you exchange your Canadian dollars to Naira and it's so huge, you think you have a lot of money. In 3 days, he's already broke.
It's gone.
By the time he bought ram for his mom, for his siblings, the house is staying in, he just realized that he's broke. So it's unfortunate how the people who say that we should praise President Tinubu, of course, all of us are guilty of where Nigeria is. If we did not allow the country to degenerate to where it is, if we did not abandon leadership to thugs, and political whatever it is they call themselves, Nigeria will not be where it is. But to now take Nigeria out of where it is now also must involve all of us.
Yes. Little wonder, Rotimi Amechi, former governor of Rivers State, cried out during his 60th birthday that he's hungry.
Even that's
For the rich to cry.
Meanwhile,
We know that he's not really hungry like that.
meanwhile, the musician that performed in that birthday ceremony, and the cost of the hall for that is close well
It's in
over
millions.
30 million.
It's in millions.
Okay, so he's hungry. And that's the metaphor for the situation we find ourselves. The country's economy has collapsed. Yet, they keep telling us that the removal of subsidy was for the good of everyone. Okay, to the extent that it has encroached on our faith. Okay, our belief in God and our faith in the existence of God is what is left. That's what is left of us, I mean, in this dispensation. Now, for us to now have demands and needs and the economy encroaching in that which is left of us may mean that perhaps if this stay longer than necessary, people may begin to give up their faith. Because you see, poverty and hunger have a way of pushing you to do the wrong things.
Yeah.
Okay. The government have no policy on survival. The government have no policy. In the Obasanjo regime, we had programs like the alleviation of poverty, women and wanting. There are different
Alleviation program.
Yes. Poverty alleviation program for women.
Women alive program.
For youths. For there were something. There was a policy. How be it that it was not enough, but there was. This time around, there is none.
No.
There is no social intervention.
No Shopee, no you win.
Nothing.
The supporter Shopee was which government? You win.
Well, Jonathan.
Shopee
yes, you win, but Jonathan.
Now, the supporters of Tinubu, when you ask them, what has he done in 2 years? You remove subsidy, and the now fund, student loans, and he's building coastal roads.
Oh my.
That's all they tell to, nothing else.
There's none of that.
Hungry people that cannot go for Ileya, it's like bewitchment.
So at the end of the day, what you have is a government with an empty policy.
Wow.
So you don't like maybe an empty drum is placed before a society for them to go and draw from, to draw water from, or to draw whatever it is from. So if this government ever have the vintage of love, or that little string that is of humanity, they will do something to ensure that those who are hungry are fed.
Food bags.
Because it's also a government that unfortunately does not even have the shock absorber to even take. It's so intolerant. Yes, it cannot take criticism. It's not doing the right thing. In fact, this government is sleeping. This government is sleeping. And Nigerians must assemble and wake this government up. Wake them up by voting them out. And the only one who can
always wait 4 years.
The only we cannot encourage any other. The constitution says that you cannot take over power through any other means other than election. And if you
we can always wait 4 years.
Yes, if you attempt any other means, it becomes treasonable felon and treason. So the only thing we have in our hands is to
impeach.
Is to go to the National Assembly. One, tell them to impeach the president.
But since we already know that they're a rubber stamp,
and this one,
so there's no.
This one not. So the second thing is for us to wait and vote out the president. I don't want to talk about the third one because this was the act of God. If God decides.
It has happened before.
So until the people wake up, I don't think this
very true. You see, this administration, I think sincerely, they are living in the figment of their imagination. And it's
but they have supporters in the poor masses. So I mean, if they hear those ones and they're saying, "Oh, hell to
no," but the same supporters, when you sit down with them in your neighborhood, and honestly, they speak from a place of frustration.
You know, because the truth remains, like Emeka's work is said that too many rams, no one to buy. That hasn't stopped the number or the population of our livestock. As of 2022, the population of our livestock, goats, for example, about 80.2 million. And consistently we've had it that way. Cows about 20.5. And consistently we've had it that way. So the question is, when we have such number or population of livestock and there are no one to buy them, there's a problem. It means that we're even suffering the livestock themselves because they are meant to be eaten. They are protein meant to be eaten.
They don't want to die, shall
You see, so I would love to think that the administration making it difficult for Nigerians to survive or reducing our purchasing power not only affects us, but equally affects things around us, including the livestock themselves.
You know, but in their defense, they will say that when you want to make life-changing changes, right, that you must suffer a little, which is that the fraud and corruption that was in the subsidies, be it forex or fuel, needed to go, right? Then they will say things like, oh, wait for, you want good governance? The coastal road, for instance, 700 kilometers is not going to appear, you know, overnight. There has to be, we must be patient. And that's to the extent to which I agree with them. Because we do not see them also tightening their belts. Exactly like what happened in Kenya that made the Kenyans go on the road against Ruto Williams. Because you cannot be a government that is extravagant, flippant, you know, spending lavishly. What they are telling the citizens, tighten your belt, so we want to remove subsidy. But but you are still being subsidized. Our National Assembly, we are still giving them wardrobe allowance. Aren't they still collecting their 20
projects, 266
when we
million.
wanted to protest for against bad governance, Senate president, number 3 citizens said, while you people are protesting, we will be eating meat.
And he did a song.
So
Things are getting better.
If they were representing us in terms, you see that the leadership themselves are tightening their belts. They're reducing the cost of governance. Then the people will say, oh, all of us just need to bear it for a little time and then we'll all enjoy together. But the president came in, the car that the former presidents have been using, I don't know if anything was wrong with that car. He went to go and get himself a new baby. You know. So how do you expect the people to feel?
But the question I ask again is, why do you think the people would complain when the festivity, our same politicians are gifting them the same rams they can't afford for themselves? Imagine bringing out 200 million for cow. You can give the whole community.
Yes, it cannot.
That is a drop in the ocean.
Exactly.
Even if you bring out
all their
money,
all their APC supporters,
the whole money in this state, and you to buy ram. What would they?
It will not even reach all their APC supporters. Not less of those of us that are non-partisan.
What would they use to cook that ram? You are paying them something.
Expensive onions and. Have you gone to Mount?
So at the end of the day, what is required of government?
It's infrastructure. It's not handout
as welfare.
Yes.
But to make an enabling environment.
Very true.
Give us electricity.
Very true. Very true.
Okay. Build schools
and hospitals
that our children can attend, so that we don't have to go and be spending huge amount of money in private schools.
Very true.
Let private schools be an option
for
those who desire. That was how it was in the 80s.
Yes.
Very true.
Yeah.
So, and then create an environment. Let's have access to credit. That is the way you rank developed countries. Access to credit, equal opportunity. Let there be meritocracy. You see this thing we call equal opportunity. It sounds look like it's not, but that is part of the problem we have. There is no meritocracy. People will get things they don't deserve.
Right.
Okay? Then those who should have it will not have it. Okay, let's have a society that is just. Economic justice. That is what will develop the country. That's what we put everyone in. That if you have read up to a particular point, you should have a job to justify and read up to that point.
Very true.
Okay, you shouldn't read up to that point and then go apply for driver and Dangote refinery, walking up and down.
With your PhD.
You understand? We should have a country that works. That's exactly what we're saying.
Yeah.
So if the government can give us that enabling environment, then we're good to go. We are creative people.
Very true.
We can do a lot, you know, today, and then we can prosper.
Very true.
Yeah. We need to fix this country so that it will be in the best interest of all of us. We'll go on a quick break now, and when we return, Juror Olajumoke ALAWODE-JAMES will present her case titled Citizen Monitors. Do stay tuned.
Middlemen.
Thanks for staying tuned. This is my case. Citizen Monitors. It is you and I who will ensure credible elections in Nigeria. No politician hoping to benefit from how the system currently is will encourage any change in our elections. You know, if our elections were credible, supporters of candidates who lose elections will not feel as bad as when there are obvious irregularities, manipulations, fraud, ballot box snatching and snuffing, and other forms of corruption during counting and collations of our votes. We thought the biometric system and the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC servers would give transparency in the 2023 elections. Ultimately, we still did manual collations and the servers were shut down. Nigerians are more aware. Yes, the youth are not so interested in politics, but everyone wants good governance. This is where citizen monitors step in. We have seen different political parties create situation rooms where party agents send in results of elections in their polling units, and the situation rooms always give contrasting figures from what's finally declared. We, the citizens, can do the same. The way a shadow government is being created, we can create a shadow INEC. Citizen Monitors is an election data gathering platform that allows volunteers and observers sending election results at all polling units so we can check and balance INEC. There are always allegations of elections not happening at some polling units and results declared. Not anymore. If elections do not happen at your polling unit, you can send in pictures or videos to the Citizen Monitors website, which can be used to prevent false election results from being declared or even used in court. Each polling unit will have one observer and several volunteers, so we ensure that the results sent in are accurate. Also, Citizen Monitors is non-partisan. Agents of all political parties can volunteer. It's about having credible elections. This is not about party politics. Ultimately, although Citizen Monitors cannot declare elections results, it can give data of elections held in all the 774 local governments across Nigeria and the almost 200,000 polling units. How do you get involved? Register on the Citizen Monitor site, citizenmonitors.com, to be an observer or a volunteer and post election results from your polling unit real time. If INEC servers don't work, Citizen Monitors will provide credible data. Here's my verdict. There are over 200 million Nigerians, 70 million registered voters. Only 200,000 of us can hold INEC, the police, the judiciary, and all politicians accountable during elections. Only people who want to rig elections will not like this. Citizen Monitors is at Citizen Monitors across social media. Tell a friend to follow, so we can be positive citizen monitors of Nigeria as local government elections and the Anaba elections approach. Nigeria will succeed.
Fantastic case.
Citizen Monitor.
This is a novel idea. For me, I think the time has come when we should have these kind of institutions duplicated across the country. Already, we have some plaque, situation room, Yaga Africa, playing similar roles.
Yeah.
Okay. But you know, this one is much more far-reaching because this one is not just an institution or an organization that is
sending out people.
Yeah, that is centered in one place. You say all local government people are across can send in results from there and all that.
Yeah.
Yes. But what I think should be done is that the people who are expected to undertake these roles must be trained. They must be trained. They must be able to live above board. Because you see this thing called vote buying and politicians. This organization should not allow politicians to sponsor any movement, either transportation of its volunteers or feeding or allowance or whatsoever. People who want to volunteer, who are altruistic, who do not mind whether they get anything or not, are the people who can do this job. Unfortunately, Nigeria has a short supply of those kind of people.
Wow.
Okay, yes, that is. I'm just looking at the challenge that
Wow.
institution may face, that it has to brace up to. We did election in my estate, the last election,
Yeah.
you know, and we had agreed what is going to happen. That we own our police. Nobody can come from outside and tell us exactly what to do. All of us who agreed, people who agree with us, sold their votes that day. The chairman sold his own a day before, up front. Okay, collected money from an official that came to distribute money, and they changed the cost of the vote. I'm talking about wealthy people.
Wealthy people.
Yes.
I was going to ask you, how much can they pay a wealthy person to sell their votes?
Nigeria.
When went to the election, the governor was out in the estate. Okay, he was in the estate. Okay, had problem with that estate when he was locked out from the estate because of the case.
Yeah,
Because the government had
I remember.
And then 1 week ago, one week before election, he was at the estate. And this is what happened during election. So I'm saying that may heavens provide those good-hearted Nigerians, we still have them, albeit in short supply, who will ensure that if election did not take place in the polling unit, let it be on record that the election did not take place there. You shouldn't have results emanating from
a place where elections did not happen at all. And they were counting many local governments in the southeast that elections did not happen.
Held, yeah.
But results came out on Seba.
Result came out. So
imagine that. But Juro Evans, something you mentioned raised something else in my mind, which is that if we spend so much during elections, because I can imagine how much they would use to bribe your chairman, right, for him to sell his votes, then do we then blame the politicians when they get into government? They are settling all of these people who have funded their elections with, political positions to the extent that they can recoup their money. So they are no longer interested in providing good governance. They have already given you your good governance up front by approaching you with money that you collected. So now, when they tell you, okay, we are building road, we are remove subsidy, and they are buying escalators for themselves and SUVs for their wives, can you really blame them?
Yes, it's actually a pity. Just before I allow you maybe possibly answer that, it's actually a pity that Nigeria, a country of over 200 million people, with all the awesome, wonderful people that we have, that we always play catch up when it comes to electioneering in the country. Ghana had an app a very long time ago called iCloud. Now that iCloud, exactly what this is supposed to do, is what they do. So for any electioneering time or circle, everyone, just like you have, they're all registered in different places, and they take pictures, videos, and so on and so forth, and they send it to their center hub and all. So, and Ghana has been congratulated by so many organizations, by international. Yes. When it comes to credible elections, when it comes to doing election the way it should be done, Ghana takes #1 in sub-Saharan Africa. So I do not know why. I guess all of these things would work if we have a change of value system.
Very true.
Because we can have the best of this, and if we have the worst of people, it won't even work.
Yes.
Because the same INEC will say that whatever it is this particular body are bringing forth is not credible. Who are they? Who gave them the license?
Anyway.
You see, when I stopped regarding people according to how much money they have, was when I attended a party, a birthday party outside Lagos. And there were some real big men, as in notable names, who came with their wives. When it was time for food, these people exhibited what you wouldn't even expect their drivers to do. There were 3 points for food.
Buffet.
buffet. Serve yourself. I didn't get anything.
It's a lie. Oh.
Because, of course, I went there as a journalist, so I had to take...
You had to wait for the
You know, I had to take... Everything was wiped off. You needed to see how these big men and their wives loaded their
They were
plates.
hiding their plates.
So,
Poverty mentality or hunger.
for me, I look at people based on the value they offer, not the money they have. Because, sincerely speaking, honestly,
You can have all the money and still be with you.
yeah. So for me, you see, this is a laudable initiative, but we must find a way to connect Nigerian youths who are willing to be a part of the change. Because
The Gen Z are not interested in anything altruistic.
Yes, they know.
yeah.
It has to be paid.
Yeah, because the government has weaponized poverty. And you see,
And the government is not doing anything for them.
no.
They are doing everything for themselves.
Can we blame the government for that? Because in the 80s,
They are doing everything for themselves. Ever.
hold on. When we're growing up, when a car breaks down, the driver will come out and order us.
Yes.
They will order us to come and push.
And you go and push.
Yes, we do it gladly.
With
Sometimes
gladness.
they give us some notes, but that's not the motivation. I want to ensure that
The
progress, you gain freedom and keep going. You are not stranded. That's all. Today, your car break down, you call Gen Zs. They will negotiate what you will give them before they. Some of them will not even talk, just walk past. So there's a shift. That shift, I do not think, because at that time in the 80s when we were like that, government was failing. They were failing us too.
government was really...
So the difference from then and now, right? Because at least I was around in the 80s, is that our parents could go to work. There was traffic in those days, though. I remember that.
It was worse.
My brother used to go.
It was even worse. It was worse.
You know, he used to go late to school because his school was far from home. But at least the parents would try hard to get home early, right? And even though, for instance, I say that I was raised by mates. You know, my father would have gone to work, my mom would have gone to work. It was two mates in the house, but they were extended family members. My aunties, I had uncles. Then sometimes I would be taken to my cousins. You know, just so that you have that family raising the child. And the Yorubas have values that we pass, you know, from one generation to the other. Regardless of that, it's your mother who's taking care of you or your auntie. You don't bring home that pencil and come and say, you know, the value system. But now, the traffic that we say was worse then, the hustle has now doubled so much that even though we're trying to do exactly like our parents did, providing nanny, providing this, providing that, who is raising the Gen Z that you're talking about? What value system have we put in them? They have met a dysfunctional society, right? And they say that family is the bedrock of any society. When the family system is so broken, father is here, mother is there, the home is broken sometimes, even when the home is united. My boss was telling me how his children did not recognize him, did not recognize the wife. The wife was shedding tears and resigned from work and said, Oga, whatever money you bring home, we will manage in this house. And they had to live in a 2-bedroom flat in Festa for many years. Managing. And they had extended family still living with them in that small apartment. But she realized that, one day these children will not even know us. How do you raise your children when you are not available? So you want to blame Gen Z.
That thing you are saying is one of the things that, you know, one of the places where we missed it. We think we need so much money for us to have a fulfilled life in Nigeria, even today. And that is why many families are breaking apart, because people prioritize
chasing
money. And the idea that...
And money is never enough.
Yeah, never.
Never.
The idea that you have to pursue, that whatever pursuit you engage in must lead to wealth, is also a wrong value. Because there are many people all around the world who are not wealthy, but they are impacting society. Organizations pay them to go to different places and talk to people, address conferences, hold seminars, and all of that. People pay. People offer these things for them because they have this intrinsic value. They don't have money.
Although we still have some values here, but over the world. The world is in a mess.
The world is in a mess. But you see, for us, These citizen monitors is something that should be escalated. And we must let Nigerians know that the outcome of elections, that elections have consequences.
Very true.
And it will be in our collective interest to be a part of that
Very
initiative.
True. Very, very true. Okay, then, we will take a quick break, and when we return, Juror Henry Igwebuike will be here to present his case titled When Technology is Stifled in Nigeria. Just stay with us. We'll be right back.
Thank you for staying with us. My case, when technology is stifled in Nigeria. In Nigeria, it is often feels like progress is deliberately stifled. Why is self-service technology something as basic and essential as pure water still a rarity? I was recently surprised to discover that First Bank now uses a vending machine for instant ATM card issuance, a small but powerful reminder of what is possible when innovation is allowed to thrive. Across airports in Africa, self-check-in and automated security systems are standard. But in Nigeria, even when such systems are installed, they often don't work. Why is the catch question? If we can use machines to print ATM cards, why can't we extend this technology to national ID cards, voters' cards, driver's licenses, and other essential services? We have the tools, but not the will, and certainly not the right intentions in leadership. Automated systems reduce human interference, streamline processes, and curb corruption. But that's exactly the problem. Many officials prefer systems that allow for human contact, not for service, but for exploitation. Kickbacks, bribes, and bureaucracy thrive in the absence of technology. My verdict: this isn't just about ATM machines. It's about a system that deliberately denies Nigerians the dignity of efficiency and the promise of innovation, all to protect the greed of a few. Until our leaders prioritize public good over personal gain, Nigeria will continue to suffer from self-inflicted technological drought.
3 things quickly for me, right? I was impressed when I discovered this ATM machine printing machines at another bank last year around me. Incidentally, I had taken my cousin to the NIMC to go and do her name for her to do her bank account. She stays in the UK, wanted to, clear up her accounts in Nigeria. And only for us to get to the bank with the need, we had spent days chasing after NIMC to do. And they said, oh, just go to that machine, you can do it yourself. Both current and savings accounts on one card. And she did everything by herself by just punching at that machine. Then there was a second item in your case that I wanted to say. Oh, it already happens in Nigeria also. Something about
self-service. Yeah.
That it also happens in Nigeria. But for instance, when the Minister of Interior said, "Oh, go and do all your registration for your international passports online," the only thing you need to go and do is capture. You capped it when you said that corruption thrives in human contact, right? They are giving one party supporter the DG or MDO of one parastatal or agency. If we are not coming there, if we are just staying on our phones and doing it, if we are not coming there, we're not going to come and bribe him and his staff to help us. So it's not that the technology is not already available worldwide for all the things that we want to do. We are purposely, reducing. Look at beavers and our servers last year.
International passport you're talking about. There's a place where you feel it or you get stuck. If you go do it yourself.
Really?
Feel to a point that you get stuck.
No, but I did everything myself. Paid
and
online.
You got your.
It paid, but then you now have to go and do the capture.
Yeah, you do the capture.
Their office.
Yeah.
No, but everything. So network issues. If you're not using Wi-Fi, they'll say your picture. They can keep on rejecting. They say, oh, it's not the right size, it's not the this. So most people who cannot face all of that, you just rather go and pay somebody to help them do it. But technology is widely available. I have a professor in the university who said to me that knowledge is available. Seek it. So that Nigeria cannot do this or cannot do that is not the issue. It's that our government purposely put all of these bottlenecks there so that we have to come and beg somebody.
No, but I also tend to look away from government because Barris has said something fundamental that I've not forgotten. So sometime last year or the year before last, where he said that government does not exist to make you happy. It was on
this show.
On this show, the government does not, and that statement has stuck with me and guided
is
the
it
way
a universal belief system. The government is not.
If somebody comes, you make money now, and somebody comes and says, "I'm government.
I want to
collect tax."
Does that make you happy?
Are you happy?
Very true.
Nobody's happy that they are collecting from.
Very true. Do you get?
Are you happy? That's as basic as it is.
Happy people in, for instance, Finland, they are the happiest in the world.
Yes.
They are not happy when the government comes knocking for taxes. That's just a typical example of what you're saying.
So that's why I tend to look at, are there ways I can be more efficient by myself?
To create happiness for yourself.
Because if you go online, there are apps that you can use to make a lot of things more efficient for yourself.
Even YouTube, you can learn a lot.
Something came up recently. Something came up recently where Lagos State government was talking about, that it will make people to start paying rents, monthly. I was with some neighbors, some of them are into real estate. And I was saying, you see that thing, Nigerians will learn the hard way what our people are going through in US, in Dubai, in the UK. I said, because if you want monthly rent payment, it's going to be tied to your account.
It will be high. First
line charge, it will be tied to your account. And like in Dubai, I understand in Dubai, that to access your house, you need a card, an access card. Now, if you don't pay, in fact, somebody was telling me that was it he and the wife or something. They were locked up, they were locked inside the house because their money finished.
Had expired.
So they couldn't leave the house. There was no water.
That was forced imprisonment.
No, that was in Dubai. There was no water, but they signed the agreement that if your money runs out, that one, if you go out, you can't come in.
No, but our own is not like that.
So, no, what I'm saying is that
we'll keep down
but these things are happening.
We'll keep down
things like that. Hold on. Things like that, yeah, advanced economies.
That is it.
Because, like in America, you file for eviction is 2 weeks. Your laws are outside.
In
Nigeria,
it's 6 months.
You will give you 6 months notice. After 7 days, the person will have to back. You now file.
You now go to court, and you can be in court for 2 years.
And then you have to begging the tenant to not park.
Look,
just go.
they now got my clothes. I have to give the tenant 2 million. Okay, madam, you know what? I don't tire. Just go and collect another house.
And
I take money and go.
In doing all that, somebody's losing money. The landlord is losing money. He's not able to. Government is not able to tax that rent he has lost.
Very true.
So government is losing money. The owner of the house is losing money. Everyone is losing money. But if you have a system where, like in Dubai, you are shut out. You will ensure that you plan
that you are not shut
your
out.
water goes off.
Yes.
Your light goes off.
Plan your life very well. So that's the way you should.
I just hope that with innovation, technology, those are things that will help. Those are among the things that will help this nation out. If you want to deal with election malpractices, it's so easy. If you want to deal with rigging, it's so easy. If we develop an app like these citizen monitors, I hope they will think about it.
Yeah.
It's very simple. Look, once you have a footprint, a digital, you have, all of us will have digital footprints.
Very true.
And once you put your thumb somewhere, whether it's NIN, whether it's BVN, whether it's whatever,
it brings out everything about you.
Or an ATM, once you put it, remains in the storage, and it's a global storage. So if you go to elections, once you put your, let anybody snatch ballot boxes. It will even be nice. Let them do some exercise. But at the end of
it will be an exercise in futility.
At the end of the day, that digital thumbprint, that's your thumbprint, is globally recorded. And so there's no need, there won't be any need to be spending so much money on police. You don't even need to. You don't need policemen. You won't need policemen at polling units. Nothing.
Because there are no people to snatch boxes
No,
anyway.
you don't even let them go and snatch. What are you snatching?
No,
There is no paper.
ballots.
Well,
There are no ballot papers. Nothing.
Well, that would work when things are right.
We are going
Our
to
president
no,
said,
we are going to. Do you know what? Henry, can I tell you what? Nigeria,
grab it
Nigeria. Do you know what? Nigeria,
Nigeria
Nigeria is going to go into a tailspin in the next 2 years because you know what? AI and so many technological disruptions are going to scatter this country. It's a fact.
Yes, it will
And
move. It will move.
if you refuse to move, we will not be able to move. Or forget all these things that Tinubu and others are doing. One of Tinubu's aides was saying it took India 50 years to get there. I said, you know what I replied? I said, this is how you know somebody who cannot sit down and read a good book. You know when you want to hide the truth from a black man,
put it in a
book. Simple things that are in a book. How can you fix the Nigerian economy? Even AI, Google, Gemini, Meta AI can even give you answers.
True.
But we still want.
We want to go 50 years.
But we're going to be forced. We will be. You see what will change this country?
Exigencies.
I'm happy. This country, you see, innovation.
The Gen Z cannot change.
They can. They will be changed themselves.
The Gen Zs are already old.
Hey,
They don't know.
is the Gen Alpha?
The Gen Alpha.
The Gen Alpha, they too can contribute their quota. But what will really change this country is the universal will of everyone involved, old and young, to make things work. A change of attitude, adjustment here and there, and honesty, transparency, patriotism. That's going to change the country. It's not given to any particular bracket of generation. I mean, to change the country, we will all collectively do what is right and then change Nigeria.
Very true.
Just like see what Donald Trump is doing. He's looking so very much at AI because he knows that this battle is playing with tariffs is not sustainable. He knows. So, well.
All right. We will take a quick break, and when we return, Juror Evans Ufeli will be here to present his case, the Agege bread theory. Do stay with us.
Middleman.
Thanks for staying with us. My case, the Agege bread theory. In Lagos, there is a particular phenomenon known as the Agege bread theory, a culinary creation that transcends mere sustenance. This oddly comforting combination of overcooked beans that we're going and soft, fluffy Agege bread has become emblematic of not just a satisfying meal, but a metaphor for a broader malaise affecting our political landscape. As nostalgia-inducing as it is, the aftermath of indulging in this culinary delight is an impending sense of drowsiness, is longing for nap time, and a weightiness that lingers longer after last crumb is consumed. This sensation resonates deeply with the current administration under Bola Tinubu. Just as the body succumbs to the overwhelming heaviness of Agege bread and beans, the government seems to be well-fed but lethargic, ensnared in a state of inaction. Rather than exhibiting the vitality one would expect from a ruling party, the administration appears caught in a perpetual circle of napping, with its members seemingly more engaged in slumber than significant policy making. This alarming reality is that the governance of Nigeria is suffering from what can best be described as two malignant ailments: self-deception and an incessant quest for answers that never arrives. The Senate President Godswill Akpabio, perhaps under the influence of this same Agege bread theory, extolled the supposed improvements within the government. Ironically, his declarations clashed starkly with the palpable stagnation experienced by the average Nigerian. The Agege bread theory is not just about food. It symbolizes a broader societal struggle as families grow increasingly ensnared in circle of poverty. The weight of this eat and sleep pattern becomes stifling. The drowsiness following the feast becomes a metaphor for the lethargic or for the lethargy of a government that seems more consumed by its comfort than the pressing needs of its citizens. My verdict, as we engage in the sinkhole of political rhetoric and promise, let's remember that the Agege bread theory served as a sobering reminder of the urgency for action. The people demand not just bread, but governance that invigorates, challenge the status quo, and alleviates the weight of poverty that hangs heavily over our collective heads. The meal may bring temporary satisfaction, but we must awaken from our slumber and rise to the occasion of true leadership and accountability. I shall go to Rival again.
Yeah, I don't know about your Agege bread theory that is probably not based in Lagos. Please, it is not temporary satisfaction though. You will see. Oh God, have you tried Agege bread and akara? Oh, the extra oil from the akara is like butter to the bread.
That's another level.
Oh, then they were going.
The akara is beans.
Yes, it's beans now.
Both heavy.
Forget it. We call it akara burger. If a laborer has not eaten bread and akara or bread and ewa going, where is he going to get the energy to carry concrete? Oh God!
But the thing is that you see, the sad thing in this metaphor is that is what symbolizes our government in Nigeria. The people we have in government. You know, many years ago, Atiku Abubakar, as vice president, said it took the United States 200 years to get to where they are today.
So he's waiting for Nigeria to get to
recently, one of President Bola Tinubu's aides said it took India 50 years.
So he too is waiting for 50 years.
So
but we are already 65.
You just wonder that these people are just, you know, they are in the grip of that Agege, the comfort of that Agege bread theory that they eat so much of the bread. The bread is so soft, it's fluffy, you know, it has a lovely aroma, and then the beans.
If you eat it hot,
the beans.
Wonderful.
If the bread is hot,
after eating it,
it's fluffy inner side of the bread, eh? Oh.
After eating it, they go asleep.
How old is our president?
Well, I don't know.
Official. Who knows the official one?
Because
75 going on 80. At that age, what do you want to do? Agege bread is even too strong for you.
No, but Donald Trump, if you look at it, Donald Trump
is going on 80 too.
Yes,
then the president, a former president
of Trump is eating flakes. He's searing that they are giving him.
And he's eating genuine burger, not akara burger.
Not akara burger. At that age of 75 going on 80, if they give you the Agege bread theory, either it is ewa going. I like the way you pronounced it rightly. You don't pay for Lagos. So. Or it is akara that is in your Agege bread. At that age, you must sleep for 2 days. So if you now expect that this theory is in existence in Nigeria, and our president was former governor of Lagos State, it's probably a delicacy for him also. He will now eat Agege bread theory and not sleep for days. We are expecting magic.
Very true. I think this Agege bread theory is not peculiar to Nigeria. I love to believe there's equally Agege bread in Venezuela. Nicolas Mountain.
Their own must have cement.
Yes, their own. There's saving because the man just destroyed Venezuela, like destroyed it, destroyed totally.
Their currency is like tissue paper.
In fact, you need a Ghana must go on that their currency to buy the Agege So I feel that our president is equally following Venezuela, and just hope that it doesn't.
There was a Ghanaian president, or I think it was Cote d'Ivoire, who said that once the black gold, that's crude oil, is discovered in your country, then there's trouble. And Nigeria and Venezuela are typical examples of what he was saying. At the time, I think that they were also exploring for crude oil in that country, and they were like, look, we're all peaceful, united, and okay now. Once they find black gold in your country, the foreign to the left and to the right, leftist and west, everybody is chasing after you. Thankfully, they're not chasing after crude oil as much these days. The world is moving away from it, But the puppet masters are still pulling the puppet strings. Most of the elections that we have across Africa, the way they divided Africa, like say we are a portion of meat, the puppet masters in all of those developed countries are still pulling strings for their own benefits. For their own, why is Russia interested in Burkina Faso, right? And they want
Niger.
And America is now fighting them. Meanwhile, same America is supporting Ukraine. For NATO to go, and although Trump is not supporting for Ukraine to join NATO, but the exact thing that Putin is against happening in Ukraine is what America is now crying about, that Russia is going into the west of Africa. So it's about global politics is about the interests of the world. What's IMF and World Bank doing in all of our countries? Do we who have the real resources in our underbelly, the gold, the diamond, the crude oil, all of those resources, they will now bring their paper, print dollars for you and give it to you and say, bring your resources for piece of paper that they printed. Why are we exchanging real resources for notes that they printed from their trees?
Yeah, I am actually taken aback as to why it is so heavy for this government to move Nigeria forward. It is the heaviness in their head that has caused the heaviness of the economy of this country to move forward. It's like when they
think you're expecting too much of them, Sha.
When they won election, they were so excited. I mean, the day the result was announced, the excitement was all over.
It was about self-actualization. It was not because they were bringing solutions to us.
It was celebration all over the country and the rest of that.
Who was celebrating?
Okay.
No, we didn't see them.
They were afraid, though. They were afraid to celebrate.
For where? Yeah. The country was dead.
When they were watching from the control room.
That's in their own sitting room now.
Those they were celebrating.
They themselves. But you said across the country.
APC across the country, they were celebrating.
Oh, we did not see them in their rooms. But what we saw across the country, Nigeria, was dead silence.
That incitement, ordinarily should translate to vigor, strategy, okay, and the rest of that. But at the end of the day, I mean, they couldn't move the country forward from day one. They were lost as to what to do. Even the appointment, I mean, can you count how many of the ministers in this government are actually performing? Apart from Wiki that is destroying properties and building new ones.
Minister of Interior?
Interior.
Only Interior.
And perhaps one other minister again.
Only Interior.
Okay.
Dave Umahi.
Although
I don't really like Dave Umahi.
Nobody likes him. Nobody likes
him. Don't like him.
Yeah, it's just the Calabash. That's the assignment.
Sir, this celebration that you were talking about on their first day in office, right? If their supporters keep on touting that he removed fuel subsidy as one of his achievements, he did it on his first day in office.
But they're still paying.
They have accused them that they are still paying.
They are still paying.
I cannot substantiate that.
No, the IMF.
No, but one of Tinubu's advisors said it. That lady, she said it. One of his advisors said it.
IMF said it.
Yes, they said it's on. It's recorded. It's not.
IMF are asking
Shouldn't that be
whether there's
illegal?
a difference.
Shouldn't that be illegal?
That is it.
Anyway, but the point I was driving at is it's on the first day that he removed subsidy. So for the people who are touting that as an achievement, it means he has achieved from his very first day by removing fuel subsidy.
It's on the list of-
Unfortunately, we now hear that that he still his bravery that no other president could do it before him. Unfortunately, we now hear that they are still paying the subsidies. And then we now see what is happening between Dangote and NNPC, where NNPC has become PLC, but he's still acting like the
department in the presidency.
The government agency in charge of the downstream industry.
No, but NNPC have shares in Dangote right now.
No, they did not pay for it.
No. They have 12.7%.
They are now paid now.
They paid them. It was supposed to be 20%, but they reduced it. 12.7.
Okay. Anyway.
The other part is not paid up shares. They are just allotted shares, not paid up.
Anyway, all the nonsense I was saying, just to say that the supporters who say he's doing well, will say he means that he has done well from day one. But however, I think that you're expecting too much of this government, right? Their jubilation on day one
They
was
voted
not
them in for them to work.
Who voted them?
So we have to, even if they came in by their own volition,
I agree.
we also expect them to.
Do they have the capacity, the competence, the wherewithal?
They have to go and develop it.
Well,
Yes, because you cannot come and lead people into hardship and then walk.
if you find out that you cannot, what do? Do you resign?
You walk away.
You walk away, you resign.
Or you rejig your team. You can sack all these fellows.
Well,
Well, the truth of the matter, yes. I think they can't even rejig the team, because what we have is
where do they
a
find the
proliferation.
other team?
Where we have actually is a proliferation of what I would call performist support from people. That is, you congratulate someone because you want something or you have something to protect. Every single person who is supporting this administration has something he is trying to support.
There's a cockroach in their house.
Exactly. So the truth of the matter is we cannot even rejig a system where everybody is loving the shenanigan happening. You know, so everyone is eating from the Agege bread theory and enjoying themselves. So who would come and help us? It's
Except
actually
the
a
hungry people that can no longer afford Agege bread. But do you know how much a loaf of bread is now? 2,000. So this your Agege bread theory is not for the poor anymore.
Agege bread itself has lost confidence.
Yes.
Because when you buy Agege bread today
And you squeeze it.
It looks like it's suffering from inside. I mean, it's unfortunate that it has to affect Agege bread. It's one of the greatest invention of the state of Lagos.
Is it a Lagos invention?
No, unless it was a Ghanaian, no.
Yes, Daniel.
Unless it was a Ghanaian who said it.
Yeah, Daniel.
And they won't run away. Where do you say we're going?
It's all Sahara
From
invention.
Ghana and Benin.
Where do you say we're going?
And that is where we leave the gavel today. In a nation where silence often feels safer than questions, the middlemen dare to ask, to dissect, and to demand better. Until next time, stay aware and stay engaged. Bye for now.
Bye.